The year is 542 AD. The sun beats down on Constantinople, the jewel of the Byzantine Empire. Its grand structures and bustling streets are a testament to its glory and prosperity. But a dark cloud hangs over the city, an ominous presence that foreshadows the calamity to come. The streets, once teeming with life and commerce, are now littered with the dead and dying. The vibrant marketplaces and busy thoroughfares have turned into scenes of horror and desolation. The stench of decay permeates the air. It is a smell that signifies not just death, but the collapse of a once thriving society. Cries of agony echo through the once bustling marketplaces. The sounds of suffering are a constant reminder of the plague's relentless grip. This is Constantinople in the grip of the devastating Plague of Justinian, a city brought to its knees by an invisible enemy. The plague, a deadly epidemic, has arrived in the capital. It spreads with a ferocity that leaves no corner of the city untouched. Rats infested with plague-carrying fleas spread the disease like wildfire. These small creatures become the harbingers of death, moving silently through the city. The Byzantine Empire, a beacon of civilization, faces an enemy unlike any it has ever encountered, an enemy that cannot be fought with swords or shields. The plague does not discriminate. It strikes the rich and the poor, the young and the old, with equal ferocity. Emperor Justinian himself falls ill, a testament to the disease's indiscriminate reach. Even the most powerful are not spared. The very heart of the empire weakens as the emperor, the god-anointed ruler, battles for his life. His illness symbolizes the vulnerability of the entire empire. Fear and despair grip the hearts of the populace. The people of Constantinople are left to wonder if their city will ever recover. The plague's arrival marks a turning point in Byzantine history, casting a long shadow on the empire's future. It is a moment that will be remembered for generations to come. Before the plague's devastating arrival, the Byzantine Empire stood at the zenith of its power, a beacon of civilization and culture in the ancient world. Under the ambitious rule of Emperor Justinian I, the empire experienced a period of resurgence and prosperity. His vision and leadership were instrumental in revitalizing the empire's fortunes. Justinian's reign, which began in 527 AD, was marked by ambitious military campaigns, legal reforms, and grand architectural projects. His efforts were aimed at not only expanding the empire but also strengthening its internal structures. The emperor's ultimate goal was the restoration of the Roman Empire to its former glory. He sought to reclaim the lost territories and revive the grandeur of Rome. Justinian's armies, led by brilliant generals like Belisarius, had pushed the empire's borders, reclaiming lost territories in North Africa, Italy, and Spain. These military successes were crucial in re-establishing the empire's dominance. The emperor's grandest architectural achievement, the Hagia Sophia, stood as a testament to the empire's wealth and artistic prowess. This magnificent structure was a marvel of engineering and design. The massive dome of the Hagia Sophia soared above Constantinople, a symbol of Byzantine might and ingenuity. It was an architectural wonder that inspired awe and admiration. Inside, intricate mosaics shimmered, depicting biblical scenes and imperial triumphs. These artworks reflected the empire's rich cultural heritage and religious devotion. The empire's legal system was codified and reformed under Justinian's guidance, creating a lasting legacy in the field of jurisprudence. His legal reforms were comprehensive and far-reaching. The Justinian Code, a comprehensive collection of Roman law, became a cornerstone of legal thought for centuries to come. It influenced legal systems throughout Europe and beyond, cementing Justinian's legacy as a great lawgiver. The plague, believed to be the bubonic plague, arrived in Constantinople in 541 AD. It was carried by rats on grain ships arriving from Egypt. The disease spread rapidly through the densely populated city. The symptoms were horrific: painful, swollen lymph nodes, fever, chills, and a gruesome blackening of the skin. Death often came within days. The plague ravaged Constantinople for months. Contemporary accounts describe piles of bodies left unburied in the streets. The city's infrastructure, overwhelmed by the sheer number of dead, crumbled. The plague's reach extended far beyond the capital. It spread throughout the Byzantine Empire, devastating cities and villages alike. The plague's impact on the empire's population was catastrophic. Historians estimate that between 25% and 50% of the Byzantine population perished during the plague's initial outbreak. The Plague of Justinian had a devastating impact on the Byzantine army. The army, once a formidable force capable of conquering vast territories, was decimated by disease. The plague ripped through the ranks of Justinian's soldiers, leaving them too weak to fight. Training new recruits became impossible as the plague ravaged the population. The plague also disrupted the empire's logistical capabilities. With so many dead, there were fewer people to farm the land, transport supplies, or maintain the empire's infrastructure. The plague's impact on the military was immediate and catastrophic. The empire's enemies, sensing weakness, seized the opportunity to attack. The Byzantine army, weakened and depleted, struggled to defend the empire's borders. Section 5. Belisarius's struggles, a general starved of soldiers. General Belisarius, Justinian's most brilliant military commander, faced unprecedented challenges during this time. Belisarius, a gifted strategist and tactician, had achieved numerous victories for the empire. However, the plague robbed him of the manpower he needed to maintain the empire's hard-won gains. Belisarius found himself leading armies severely reduced in size and weakened by disease. Despite his tactical genius, Belisarius could not overcome the challenges posed by the plague. He was forced to abandon military campaigns and adopt a more defensive strategy. The lack of manpower forced Belisarius to rely on diplomacy and negotiation, rather than military might. The great general, once hailed as a conquering hero, now faced the daunting task of simply holding the empire together with a fraction of his former strength. Section 6. Adapting to survive. The rise of cavalry and defensive strategies. The Plague of Justinian forced the Byzantine Empire to re-evaluate its military strategies. This devastating pandemic, which struck in the 6th century, decimated the population and left the empire vulnerable to external threats. With a drastically reduced population and a weakened army, the empire could no longer rely on the traditional Roman model of warfare, which emphasized large infantry armies. The once mighty legions were now a shadow of their former selves, unable to muster the numbers needed for large-scale battles. The Byzantines adapted by placing a greater emphasis on cavalry. This shift was not just a tactical change, but a necessity for survival in a rapidly changing world. Horses were less susceptible to the plague than humans, and cavalry units could cover more ground, essential for an empire struggling to defend its vast borders. The mobility of the cavalry allowed for quicker responses to threats, and more effective patrolling of the empire's extensive frontiers. The Byzantines also adopted a more defensive strategy. This included not only the use of cavalry, but also the fortification of key locations. They fortified their cities and towns, building strong walls and defensive structures. These fortifications were designed to withstand sieges and protect the population from invasions. The empire invested heavily in its navy, recognizing the importance of controlling the Mediterranean Sea. Naval dominance was crucial for protecting trade routes and ensuring the flow of resources. This shift towards a more defensive posture reflected the empire's reduced circumstances. The focus was now on preservation rather than expansion. The Byzantines, once eager to expand their territory, now focused on preserving what they had left. This strategic shift was essential for the survival of the empire in an era of constant threats and challenges. Section 7. The Legacy of the Plague, a Transformed Military Landscape. The Plague of Justinian had a profound and lasting impact on Byzantine warfare. The plague forced the Byzantines to abandon their traditional reliance on large infantry armies. The empire's military became smaller, more professional, and more reliant on cavalry and naval power. This new military model proved remarkably resilient. The Byzantine Empire, despite being weakened by the plague, continued to exist for another 4 centuries. The plague also led to a greater reliance on mercenaries. With a smaller pool of citizens to draw upon, the Byzantines increasingly turned to foreign soldiers to fill the ranks of their army. This reliance on mercenaries, while sometimes necessary, could be problematic. Mercenaries were notoriously unreliable, and their loyalty often went to the highest bidder. Section 8. Beyond the Battlefield: Social and Economic Upheaval. The Plague of Justinian's impact extended far beyond the battlefield. The plague's devastation led to widespread social and economic upheaval. The deaths of millions disrupted agricultural production, leading to food shortages and famine. Trade networks were disrupted as cities and towns across the empire were crippled by the plague. The plague also had a significant impact on the Byzantine economy. The deaths of so many people led to a shortage of labor, which drove up wages. The Byzantine government, struggling to cope with the crisis, was forced to raise taxes. These economic woes further weakened the Byzantine state, making it more difficult to recover from the plague's devastation. Section 9. Conclusion. The plague's enduring impact on Byzantine warfare. The Plague of Justinian was a watershed moment in Byzantine history. The plague devastated the empire's population, crippled its economy, and transformed its military. The plague forced the Byzantines to adapt their military strategies, leading to a greater emphasis on cavalry, naval power, and defensive fortifications. While the plague weakened the Byzantine Empire, it also forced the empire to innovate and adapt. The Byzantine military, reshaped by the plague, proved capable of defending the empire for centuries to come. The legacy of the Plague of Justinian serves as a stark reminder of the profound impact disease can have on the course of history.